Hey everybody, welcome to Open by Accident. I'm Matt, and today we're going to look at a recent update to the Evercade systems. We're going to be doing it on the Evercade Versus. They just released a recent update with some new features, so let's jump right in and check it out. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump down here to the settings, and as you can see here, we're going to go down to the system, and we're on firmware 3.1.6. And they basically implemented a new game of the month as well as a new library feature, which is the big thing on here. This is your main menu screen here. So let's go down to the Versus logo, and this will be our game of the month. This is also where you have some hidden games. Looks like I've unlocked 2 of 9 so far since this update. I've got Cubo 1 and 2 and Fairy Fire. But moving back up, looks like we've got The Curse of Ilmore Bay for the game of the month. This is a 2020 release. This will be a homebrew game. This will most likely be available on the Indie Heroes 4, which will probably be early 2025 release. Throughout the year, they will release homebrew games that are available on these game of the months as well. They'll be featured on the next Indie Heroes when that comes out. So let's. It looks like we've got a spooky platformer. Get the controls. Looks like A jumps, B attacks, X uses your ability, and looks like start is going to be your menu button. So let's take a quick look at the Curse of Ilmore Bay and see what we got. Looks like it's done by Second Dimension. I have not heard of this game. This is something new for me. I don't necessarily keep up with the homebrew scene as well as I used to, but that's one nice thing about the Evercade is there's a lot of homebrew games on here. So it's like World 1, The Burbs. I've already kind of jumped right into this, and I did exactly what I did the first time, just kind of checking things out. I hit that A button. A button takes you right back to the main menu screen. You have to hit start for everything. It's kind of a interesting way of doing things. Kind of annoying, not gonna lie. Usually I want to hit my A button, so looks like we're loading in right now. And there we are. So it looks like we got our world map here, kind of like a Mario World on Super Nintendo kind of feel. Let's hit start, not A, and here we are in the game. You can see this is a side-scrolling platformer. A jumps. Looks like you got some collectibles, and you got your attack. Looks like we're shooting a slingshot for our special ability. And then we've got a attack there. You cannot jump and shoot. So it looks like there's some limitations here. Don't quite have a lot of range. Duck this guy. Some spikes. So this looks like just like a pretty simple platformer here. But it plays really well. Oh. I don't like how... Oh, I guess you have a limitation on the number of shots you have. And I'm dead. I don't like it when a character like freezes or acts like it's dead, frozen in motion, and then it immediately starts moving because it takes another hit. So I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a cheap way of making the game a little more difficult. But anyways, let's go ahead and pause that. And there's our pause menu. Go ahead and hit our home button. We'll quit out of here and we'll take a look at the other features that have been implemented. So we'll just hit our back button. You can see we're back to our main menu. And then here's the new feature, the library feature. So what's interesting about this is like a collection tool for you. As you can see, the browse carts, it says 0 of 55 collected. So I'm assuming when we insert a Evercade cartridge, it will add that to the 55 or the 1 of 55 collected on that collection bar. It also has a announced and recently released game section. So here we got the Pico Collection 4. So let's look here. So you've got a how to buy, and it gives you a brief little description here of what's on the cartridge. The how to buy, oh, just takes you to a QR code. Okay, that's interesting. And then we're going to look here. It looks like we got screenshots of the games included. Oh, Zero Tolerance Underground. That's the unreleased version, a sequel to Zero Tolerance. I was a big fan of Zero Tolerance as a kid. I did own that on the Sega Genesis, so that'll be one I'll check out once I get that cartridge. So you got Bad Street Brawler. That was a Nintendo game. Never played that one. Glover. So this will be a Nintendo 64 game. Mermaids of Atlantis. Got Risky Woods. Skulljagger. Star X. Street Racer. That's one I've never played. Looks like a Mario Kart clone. Target Renegade. That's another Nintendo game. Another beat 'em up. So kind of looks like Double Dragon a little bit. The Fidgets. Looks like probably a Game Boy game. And then back to Zero Tolerance Underground. So not a bad little collection. Now, mind you, all these collections typically run about uh, $19.99 retail in the US. Sometimes you can get them a little bit cheaper when they go on sale. A lot of places like Funstock will do like a bulk up and buy discount. And there's a place in Canada I like to buy these games from because with the conversion rate, they turn out to be a little bit cheaper. Galaxy Fight. Euphoria, that's a hard one to find for the original Nintendo. And then Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel, that's another kind of oddity and rare game. I'm not necessarily feeling this Sunsoft collection compared to the first one, but it's pretty solid. And then you can see you got a couple of them that are out now. These are some more of the recent releases, but not the ones that are quite out and available yet. And then down here you can see the browse games. So you can see there's 494 available games for the Evercade as of right now, and I've collected 0 of them. So with that, let's jump here to the cartridge and let's go ahead and pop in a game. I got Sydney Hunter collection here. There's 4 games on this one. This is another one of those games that is focused heavily on the homebrew scene. These are fun little platformers. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this one in here. And you can see it's loading in. And there's our 4 games. So we're on the cartridge thing. So we got 3 Sydney Hunter games and then Jester. So let's go back over here to the collection and see if it changed anything. Okay, so there you go. You can see that we have collected 1 of 55. So as you can see here, it shows every game on there, and they're all kind of faded except for Sydney Hunter, which is the one we put in. And it looks like we can go ahead and play it because the cartridge is inserted. So it does the same thing as that featured item where you have the games readily available or coming out soon. So it's doing that, but yeah, it's all grayed out with the games that I don't have inserted. So I'm wondering if when I take that out, so you can see, oh, you can separate it by the arcade collections, the computer, or the console. So red cases are identified by the console releases, and then you can see I have a purple case here for arcade games, and then computer would be blue. So let's back out of here, and then if we go down here, you can see we've collected 4 of the 494 games. Looks like it's going to take just a minute here to load up. And then, oh, okay, it breaks it down by genre. That's kind of cool. Right on. I'm kind of digging this. And then there you can see there's Jester where it's kind of highlighted that I do own the game. So what I want to do here, if we open up the system here, hang on just a second. So I've removed the cartridge. You can see here the Sydney Hunter collection, and it still shows that 1 of 55. So once you insert it in the 4 of 94, you can see here that it's actually been taken out of the system. It is keeping it in the carts collected in the collection collected. So let's try it with the Daddy East Arcade Collection 1. I've been wanting to pop this cartridge back in. I want to play the Sly Spy again. That's a really fun game. I was at an arcade recently, locally, and they had a dedicated Sly Spy cabinet, and it made me want to go back and play it again. All right, we just inserted the Daddy East collection. I wonder if we have to leave the screen. So there's the Daddy East collection on the game screen, and there's the Sly Spy. Go back to the library, and there you go. 2 of 55 collected, and now 14 of 494 games. Right on. I like the feel of this. This is kind of neat how it allows you to track the games you own and have collected. So, and then of course, as you do updates, it's going to show you the games that are upcoming or recently released. So I'm going to have to dive into the Duke Nukem collections. I need to open up my Atomic Edition versus to get those out of there, so I can fire those up. I am a little bit behind on collecting for the Evercade. I haven't picked up Indie Heroes 3 or the C64 Collection 3, and I think I'm missing a few others like Full Void, um, in around that time frame. I think about when the Sunsoft Collection 1 came out, it's kind of when I cooled off on buying them, just so I could catch up on playing some of these games. But I'm gonna need to get back on track because one thing about this is they hold the licenses for these games, but they don't hold them forever. So they recently announced that I think it's Technos Arcade 1 and maybe one other cartridge is going to be, basically what's out there's out there. They're not going to print anymore because the license is gone. So it is a case where you do have time to get these games, but you're on kind of a time crunch. And some of the early releases are starting to kind of rise in price. But personally, I would only recommend you pay retail or less for these games. I don't believe you should have to pay an upcharge to have a complete collection. But yeah, we're going to check out the Slice By in a future video. And I hope you guys enjoyed following along with me as we check out the new updates from the Evercade systems. And again, this in the settings is firmware 3.1.6, and the big new feature is the library, being able to see recently released games as well as starting to track your collection and see all the games available. So that way you know which games you want to go track down and pick up if you haven't picked up all of them, and see exactly what's available for the Evercade, which is really cool. I like that it's all in one in the system. The only negative I can see from this library feature is it's a marketing tool. It's a way of marketing to get people to, you got to have them all, kind of like that Pokemon theming, got to catch them all. But because I'm sure there's people that are going to be like, man, I want to get all 494 games now because, it looks weird not showing that. But it's still a cool feature nonetheless. So appreciate you guys watching. If you'd like to check out future content from us, stick around. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We'll probably do more stuff with Evercade. Of course, we'll be focused on moving up and building Nick's Xbox 360 collection in future videos. And if you got any suggestions for us or something you want to see, definitely reach out to us, and we'll be sure to keep it in mind. And maybe it's something that we've got on the horizon that we just haven't talked about yet. And then you can also check out our podcast over on Spotify. We've got over 40 episodes there. I talk about the Evercade over there a few times. I've been an Evercade advocate for about 2 years now. I really enjoy the system. I was not an early adopter, but I was kind of on the fence. I'm not a big handheld guy, but when they put out the Versus system, the console, I I really dig it. I like the controller. I like the little system. It's a fun way of playing some retro games, some homebrew games. It's really about discovery because you're gonna play games that you'd never reach out and try. And they got really great little curated collections and really worth checking out. So with that, I'll leave you guys for future videos to come. And thanks for joining us.